You are on tips and streams with your host, Coca.
What's good, guys? Koken here, locked in and geared up to break down 4 NBA showdowns that are about to crank up the temperature. Strap in, because we're rolling straight into the action. The first prediction for today's NBA games is for the game between the Houston Rockets and the Denver Nuggets. Saturday night at Ball Arena feels like one of those spots where the scoreboard can lie to you if you only look at the recent streaks. Denver is rolling, the building is loud, and their offense has been cooking at a ridiculous efficiency level. But I'm not treating this like a just fade the road team situation, because Houston has already shown they can stand in the pocket with these guys and trade haymakers. Houston comes in a little wobbly, no doubt. They've dropped 3 of the last 4. And that overtime loss in New Orleans was a self-inflicted wound. You can't hang 67 points in the first half, build a 25-point cushion, then spend the rest of the night handing your opponent extra possessions with sloppy giveaways. 20 turnovers is asking for trouble anywhere, and it's especially dangerous against a Denver group that can flip a game with one hot stretch. The part one like for Houston, though, is that their identity still travels. They rebound like it's personal. When you're the top offensive rebounding team, you're never fully out of a possession battle, even in a tough gym. Denver's case is obvious. They're stacking wins. They just ran past Orlando. And when they get rolling, the offense looks like a video game. Jokic has been doing Jokic things. Murray is heating up, and their ball movement can turn a small crack into a landslide. That 35-7 blitz to close the half against the Magic is exactly why people hate betting against them at home. The flip side is also clear. Their defense can leak, and they don't force turnovers like a typical elite team. If you let Houston play clean, get second chance looks, and keep the game in the mud tempo-wise, Denver can be dragged into a one-possession finish. Now layer in the availability. Aaron Gordon being out matters. That's the dunker spot presence, the physicality, the glue defense, and the matchup flexibility all missing at once. With Christian Braun also out and Peyton Watson not fully certain, Denver's wing depth takes a real hit. On the Houston side, Fred VanVleet, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Tari Eason being out isn't nothing either, but the Rockets still have enough creation and rim pressure to score if they don't beat themselves. And this isn't theory. We've already seen 2 tight games between these teams, including that 128-125 overtime nail-biter in Denver on December 16th. Denver winning twice can pull the market their way, but it also tells me Houston is right there. Sweeping a 3-game set against an opponent this close in caliber is a tall order, especially when the Nuggets are missing key two-way pieces. My prediction is the Rockets +2. I'm fading Denver in Denver, and I'm doing it because the injury report has shaved their margin, while Houston's rebounding and firepower give them a real path to keep this inside a bucket. I'm putting my money on hometown to cover. And yeah, if you're not of legal age or betting isn't allowed where you are, keep it as game talk only. Today's second prediction is for the game between the Boston Celtics and Toronto Raptors. Toronto's coming in with some swagger again. They just snapped that ugly skid and did it the hard way, stealing road wins over Miami and Milwaukee. When this group is humming, it starts with pace, defense, and bodies flying around in transition. They're the best fast break team in the league, and you can feel Darko Rajakovic pushing that identity every night. Brandon Ingram has been in a real rhythm lately, living in that mid-range and getting to his spots with the kind of calm shot-making that travels. Scotty Barnes has also been stuffing the box score, and when he's rebounding, defending, and initiating offense, Toronto looks like a team that can punch above its weight. Add in how locked in they were defensively in those last 2 wins, and it's easy to see why people are talking themselves into the home dog. But I'm not here to get cute with the spot. Boston is still Boston, even on the second night of a back-to-back, and I think the tired legs angle is getting a little loud. They just handled Miami with serious offensive firepower, and the bigger point for me is how Boston wins games right now. They don't beat themselves. They play a clean brand of basketball, they protect possessions, and they force you to execute in the half court. That matters against a Toronto team that can get stagnant when it's missing a key scorer, and RJ Barrett being out is not a small thing. If Jakob Poeltl can't go or is limited, that's another hit to Toronto's structure on both ends. Stylistically, this matchup leans toward Boston for me. The Celtics still bomb threes at an elite volume, and even when the shot isn't scorching, the spacing creates driving lanes and late clock isolation advantages. They aren't a pretty, pass-happy offense, but it's efficient. They rarely cough it up, and they're sitting near the top of the league in points allowed, while also owning a top-tier offense by rating. Jaylen Brown has been playing like the clear engine. Derek White can swing quarters with his two-way impact, and Peyton Pritchard has given them steady production in his bigger role. No, Jason Tatum is obviously a loss, but Boston has already shown it can generate balanced scoring in this matchup, including that road win in Toronto a couple of weeks back. And then there's the part one can't ignore. Boston has flat out had Toronto's number. They've won 9 of the last 10 meetings, and even when the Raptors play well, Boston has consistently found answers late. If this turns into a grind, Boston's ability to value possessions and control mistakes is exactly the kind of edge I trust. My prediction is that Boston to win this game in Toronto. I'm riding with the Celtics on the money line. I respect Toronto's bounce back and their defensive ceiling, but I believe Boston's poise, matchup history, and don't beat yourself profile travel well enough to get another road win. The third prediction for today is for the game between the Indiana Pacers and New Orleans Pelicans. New Orleans versus Indiana in the Bayou, and I'm looking at two teams with ugly records but very different vibes right now. When I watch this matchup through an analyst lens, the first thing that jumps off the page is momentum and availability. The Pelicans finally look like themselves again because their two headliners are back on the floor, and you can feel it in the way they're playing, not just in the win column. What sold me was that Houston game. New Orleans didn't just stumble into a win, they earned it. Down big, they kept playing the right way, kept hunting good shots, kept getting to their comfort zones, and then closed overtime like a team that believes it's supposed to win. That's the kind of night that flips a locker room from survive the season to we can stack something. And right now, they're stacking. They've put together a clean little run, and it matches what their identity has been all season. Attack the paint, live on drives, force defenders to collapse, then punish the rotations. This team is built to bully you inside. They're at the top of the league in paint scoring, and they're also among the best at generating points off drives. With Zion Williamson back, that becomes a real problem because you can't guard him with a scheme on a whiteboard. If he gets downhill, you either show bodies early or you're giving up layups and free throws. Brandon Ingram being available matters too, because it gives them another creator who can calm things down when the game gets tight. And if you load up on the stars, this roster has been getting real production from the supporting cast. Trey Murphy has been a steady bucket. Jose Alvarado brings that annoying pressure and instant offense, and Saddiq Bey has given them real minutes and real scoring punch. That's depth you can actually trust. Indiana, on the other hand, is walking into this one short-handed and searching for a steady rhythm. Pascal Siakam has been the most reliable piece, and he's going to get his touches, but the Pacers have been stuck near the bottom of the league offensively. Injuries have forced them into constant lineup improvisation, and with Tyrese Halliburton now, they lose the engine that normally organizes their pace and playmaking. They can still compete in stretches, but I don't love their profile on the road. Their record away from home has been brutal, and that matters here because New Orleans has collected most of its wins in this building. From a matchup standpoint, Indiana does have some rim protection, and they block shots at a high rate, but that doesn't automatically solve New Orleans' problem when the Pelicans are coming in waves. Paint touches, drives, second-side attacks, and constant pressure. And while New Orleans hasn't been good defensively overall, Indiana hasn't exactly been built to punish a shaky defense consistently, especially with key scorers missing time. Head-to-head trends say Indiana has had the upper hand lately, but I'm not betting history tonight. I'm betting what I'm seeing right now. One team getting healthier and more confident, the other one limping in and trying to patch together offense. My prediction is this. I'm riding with the Pelicans to win and cover the 1.5 point spread in New Orleans. I think the market is still pricing New Orleans like the early season version, and I'm not buying that anymore. If they bring the same edge they showed in that overtime closer, I expect them to handle business. Today's last prediction is for the game between the Lakers and the Clippers. This is one of those nights where the standings matter, but the pride matters more. Lakers versus Clippers is always a temperature check game in Los Angeles, and even with the Clippers having their own building now, The vibe still feels like a fight for bragging rights and basketball respect. I'm not going to pretend the Clippers have looked good overall. A 6-21 start is ugly, and that 122-101 loss at Oklahoma City was another reminder of how fast things can fall apart for them when the details slip. The giveaways were a killer, and when you're bleeding points off turnovers, you're basically spotting an elite opponent free offense. But here's the thing, rivalry games change the math. Effort tightens up, rotations shorten, and you stop drifting through possessions because the opponent is wearing your city's other jersey. The Lakers, on the other hand, have been stacking wins, and they're clearly the more stable team right now. Luka Doncic and LeBron James on the same floor is a problem for anybody, and the Lakers just proved again they can win a track meet after that 143-135 win over Utah. Luka was surgical, LeBron was steady, and the Lakers showed they can punch back even when the game gets messy early. So why am I stepping in front of that train tonight? Because the injury and availability picture matters, and the Lakers are missing key pieces around their stars. No, DeAndre Ayton changes the interior touches and rebounding shape. No Austin Reeves and no Gabe Vincent take away ball handling, spacing, and the kind of secondary creation that keeps Luka and LeBron from having to do everything every trip. Rui Hachimura being questionable adds another layer of uncertainty to their wing depth. Meanwhile, the Clippers are coming in with their main engines ready to carry the load, and that matters in a game where the margin is 4 points, not 14. Also, the recent head-to-head sting is real. The Clippers have dropped 4 straight to the Lakers and didn't cash a cover in any of those. That kind of skid sits in the locker room like a bad smell. At some point, a veteran group with top-tier names has to respond with a sharper brand of basketball, cleaner possessions, more physical rebounds, and a commitment to getting back on defense instead of arguing with the scoreboard. My read is simple. The Lakers will have moments where Luka and LeBron look unstoppable, because that's what superstars do. But over 48 minutes, I trust the Clippers to play this like a statement game, win the gritty stretches, and finally flip the script in this matchup. My prediction is the Clippers at home to cover the 4-point spread against the Lakers. I'm riding with the Clippers to show some pride, tighten up the mistakes, and cash the cover in a real rivalry spot.